France and the UK have said that they will recognize Palestine as a state. Now, some people are happy about this, but this is a disaster. Why? Let's take a look. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Recognizing Palestine as a state doesn't make it a state. Just like a man recognizing himself as a woman doesn't magically make him a woman. And what the West define as a state is not what we define as a state. And what the West define as Palestine is not what we define as Palestine. Now, some people will say it is a step in the right direction and they will point to the fact that America is disappointed with Britain and France. Know that there has always been tensions between America and the European states in the way they deal with political affairs. That is not new. But what is new is that the differences are now more open and more pronounced. To think that Europe is somehow concerned about Palestine and the rights of the people that live in that land is naivety on steroids. They have been supporting the genocide financially, economically, and in all other ways for the last almost 2 years. They have been supporting the genocide and they absolutely stand by the existence of the Zionist colony in Palestine. Their difference with America is not that they care more about Palestine. Their dispute with America is about Europe becoming irrelevant in the Middle East. Now, some people will claim, well, getting international recognition as a state will give Palestine more protection, more rights, and it is a step in the right direction. Again, this is cloud cuckoo land. Palestine right now is protected by international law, human rights, and the various international institutions that exist are there to protect the rights of the refugees and the people that live in Palestine. And what has that meant for them? Squat diddly. These rights and these laws and these institutions have been meaningless to the Muslims and the people that live in Palestine. They claim that Palestine becoming an internationally recognized state will give them more protection and more rights. Well, Syria is a state recognized by international law. So is Iran. So is Lebanon. And they have been unilaterally bombed and their lands have been occupied. Parts of Lebanon has been occupied by the Zionists. Parts of Syria has been occupied by the Zionists. They have bombed Lebanon and Syria for no reason. They have bombed Iran for no reason. Where's their protection? What has international law done for them? This just goes to show that the so-called extra protection that Palestine will get, these states already get, and it has meant nothing to them. It does not protect them and it does not secure their rights. So to say that somehow Palestine will be better off, well, this is cloud cuckoo land thinking, because Muslim lands that already exist today don't benefit from that. So why is this a real danger? Because by declaring Palestine as a state, the international community will wash their hands of Palestine once and for all. The so-called state will not be a state like any other state. It will be demilitarized. It is not allowed to have an army. The Zionists will control its airspace. The Zionists will control its border. That land will have no sovereignty. It will be an occupied land with a cherry on top, and we are supposed to be thankful for that. So not only will this state have no sovereignty, but the Muslims will not have any authority in that land. We saw that in Gaza, the Muslims voted for Hamas to be their rulers. The West rejected that. And I already mentioned in a previous video that when the Muslims in Algeria voted for an Islamic party in 1991, the West cancelled that election. And more recently, when Morsi came to power in Egypt, voted by the masses, again, the West pushed him out and put a dictator in its place. So we have seen time and time again that even in the internationally recognized Muslim states, Muslims do not have authority in these lands. And the lesson we should have all learned by now with all these experiences that we have had is that we cannot play politics by the rules of the West. Declaring Palestine as a state is a trap for the Muslim Ummah. It means that the one excuse these puppet rulers in the Muslim world have been giving for not normalizing their ties with the Zionist colony will evaporate, and countries like Pakistan will have no reason not to have full relations with the Zionist state because everybody else has got it, and now the Muslims have got their Palestine, so what's the objection? So it will absolutely normalize the Zionist colony across the world. It will mean that the conflict is over. There's no need for protest. There's no need for demonstrations. You wanted a Palestinian state? Well, you've got one now. So what's your problem? So anybody opposing the Zionist colony will be now seen in a different light. and he will be delegitimized in their protests. Declaring a Palestinian state is game over. As far as the West is concerned, the problem is solved. Declaring a Palestinian state means legitimizing the occupation. It means forgetting about historic Palestine. It means about forgetting the right of return to the historic villages and towns from which many thousands of people were expelled. It means that the occupation has now been legalized and the people do not have a right to return back to their homes, back to their villages and towns from which they were expelled from. So declaration of a Palestinian state is the legitimization of a grand theft, because it solves the problem in favor of the West and to the detriment of the Muslim Ummah. That's why playing politics with their rules is a danger to the Muslims. So in summary, you cannot play politics by their laws. And Gaza has been an example and an eye-opener for many people and demonstrated that the real fundamental cause of the problem in Palestine is the Western international order that does not allow justice to prevail in that land. So Muslims playing politics by their rules is like a man going to a casino thinking that he's going to win big. You are not going to win, you are only going to lose. The Islamic political vision is not like the Western political vision. We don't believe that people should be caged in nation states based on some superficial distinction. The Islamic vision is for the humanity, all of human race, to live under the rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The rules of Islam does not favor whites over blacks or blacks over white. It is an antidote to racism and nationalism. Islam doesn't favor the rich against the poor or the poor against the rich. It is an antidote to capitalism and to socialism. Islam gave us our own unique politics. Islam gave us the Khilafah. And if after what has happened over 2 years, we are still harping on about going through the international world order to solve our problems, then unfortunately we haven't learned anything.